Alright, there we go. Finally, as we get to see all the champions, and we're actually in the game in just a few moments. On the blue team, for Quantic Gaming, their newly acquired roster, we have Balls up on Shen, Meteos being on Volibear, Quantic Hai up onto Anivia, Otter up on Varus, with Thresh being played by Nom Nom Lemon. On the purple team, which will be the side of Dignitas B, also Team Pulse, and apparently they're going to take it down from us before we get to go through the roster, but we will do that in just a few moments once they actually fully lock in and allow us to see the game. Okay, there we go. This is Dignitas B on the purple side, with Dignitas Kenance on Zed, Ziglux on Gragas, Sneakycastro on Twitch, Xzevz on Nocturne, and Daydreamin on Sona. Interesting team comps coming out here, as we do have a very tanky team coming out on the side of Quantic Gaming. They really have just a lot of tankiness, and they're going to want to take very extended engagements, split push, and kind of take all the engagements on their side of things. They don't want to have to engage themselves or disengage unless they want to. They have a lineup that can disengage very well. They have Thresh, who can engage very well. While there's not a great amount of engagement for Dignitas' B team, as they do have Nocturne, who can really jump in there, and Gragas, who can use his ultimate. Flash Crescendo would also work, but those are all very high cost skills, very high cooldown skills, and they don't have something that kind of like the Thresh hook or a Shen taunt, where you can just jump in there at any point and start a fight. You have to waste that big 30 to 60 second plus cooldown in order to get in there and start a fight. But they have an excellent amount of burst damage, as the Gragas barrel on top of the Zed ultimate will basically seal someone's fate right off the bat, with no real chance of them staying alive. They also have Nocturne able to dive on the back line and get to Varus, who is the real big damage dealer coming out on the side of Quantic Gaming. Quantic does have Anivia, who's also going to be able to deal some good damage, but it's mostly going to be that first big burst and then kind of protect Varus, as that's just a very high tank team. Volibear and Shen will be able to get to the back line and apply a lot of pressure to Twitch, who is going to be the real reliable damage coming out of the Dignitas B squad. The biggest thing is, I think Dignitas B just has so much more damage, and they're going to have such an advantage throughout the mid-game with that damage before Shen and Volibear get to the unkillable stages, which they can in the very late game. Interesting choice of summoner spells, though, as Varus has gone for Barrier instead of Cleanse, where he would be able to cleanse out of things like Crescendo or the Nocturne Fear, or even a bit of damage from Zed. But with Barrier, he will be able to prevent some of that damage. Twitch has gone with Cleanse, mostly to prevent being hooked in, as if he gets caught, Dignitas' B squad is going to have a very hard time getting the kills, because they have a lot of burst damage, but they don't have a lot of follow-up, with the exception of Twitch. And if they don't get those kills right off the bat, they're going to be pounded in by those super tanky force of Quantic Gaming. Looks like we are actually into the game. Loading screens will be shown in just a second, then we'll be on our way. But it's an interesting kind of style difference, and a good choice on the Nocturne coming out of the side of Dignitas B, just due to the fact Nocturne will be able to soft counter Shen. As soon as Nocturne pops his ultimate, Shen can't use his ultimate for a few seconds until the darkness clears, and it'll also be able to actually keep up and split push alongside Shen, as Shen is the best split pusher in the game, with very few exceptions. And that's probably what he's going to be doing the entire time. Just split pushing that top lane, forcing someone like Zed or Twitch or even Gragas, one of the big carries, to be in that lane, constantly applying pressure to him, and not in the fight. And then he can go to the fight at the last second, as there's not a whole lot of crowd control that can really deal with him. And it looks like we are going to be in the game in just a second. as we do have ignites up all around the board, though interestingly enough, Thresh has opted for heal instead of an exhaust, while Sona has opted for ignite instead of exhaust. So neither team bringing in exhaust. I figured an exhaust would be a great skill here for the side of Quantic Gaming, just to prevent Varus from getting bursted by Zed, and it looks like we are going to have a pause right away. Not sure exactly what the pause is, but we shall figure it out, and it looks like it was just making sure everyone loaded in properly. Nothing more than that. Looks like we are going to have both teams just pushing through the mid lane. I would fully expect basically a very defensive start throughout the early game, as neither team has great level 1 team fights. Quantic has a pretty decent one, but they'd have to line up and land all their skills, and that's going to be very difficult. Well, Dignitas B has a lot of disengage, and they're playing it very safe. They have a nice ward here, spawning out the rotation over to blue. As we do see the blue buff, it's going to be taken here by the side of Quantic. Dignitas' B squad not going to do anything about it at this point, as they're split up at the moment, as it looks like Quantic is actually going to disengage. They're going to be spotted out by ward. Thresh those out of Lancer to the side, but no luck landing, as he's just a little off. And an excellent ward placement on the side of the Dignitas B squad, which saw the rotation over. They see that their blue buff is safe, They know exactly what the enemy's doing, and they will be allowed Nocturne to get a start wherever he wants at this point. Neither team placing that deep ward that most North American and European squads have seen. It's usually placed right near the blue buff, and it looks like we are going to have a bit of an engagement here by Quantic. Staying right in that bush. They got in there just before the ward was placed by Sona, but they're going to back up and just go take the double golems. Kind of surprised they didn't just wait there and harass Twitch or Sona if they decide to come through that path, but instead they're going to take that bit of farm advantage that the blue side loves. We're also not going to see the 2v1 lanes that have been so popular in the North American scene, as Gragas will be up top against Shen with Zed in the mid lane. Kind of surprising, as I figured Gragas would want to go into that mid lane where he can really just rotate around, do whatever he wants. But I guess they figured Gragas is going to be better in a 2v1 lane, if that should happen. But it didn't, so we're just going to have a farm off, as Anivia is going to have a very good time against Zed. Zed doesn't apply enough pressure throughout the early game to really matter, especially due to the fact that Zed just needs that level 6 to burst people down, and once he gets 5 and 6, he'll have enough damage to apply pressure to Anivia. But that's still a ways off, and I don't think he has to worry too much. Though Zed is very low at this point, he has a red potion if he needs to pop it, and a lot of other potions in his inventory, as neither team's taking a very different start. They both have potions all around. In the bottom lane, Varus is doing a good job of zoning out Twitch. Twitch very low on health, considering the fact he only has that Duran's Blade, and is getting lower with every shot. Sona heal is going to help, but Varus does have the healing reduction, which means that's going to be extra mana wasted by Sona. A lot of damage taken here by Zed in the mid lane. But so far, it's fairly even across the board. Neither team getting an early advantage, like something by stealing a buff, or just really pushing a lane out, as it's been even all across, just due to how the minions are pushing. Up top, Shen's really pushing in on Gragas. Even though Gragas is in a good spot, he's going to be very safe against ganks. Though I don't foresee a gank happening anytime soon, with the exception of bottom lane, where Nocturne is poised to make one. But he's just not at that. He doesn't have his ultimate yet. He's only level 3. And Volibear is going to come down bottom as well. Likely through the brushes in the bottom. But instead he's just going to back up. No lanes playing aggressively. Everyone playing incredibly safe. And we're just going to have both teams farm it out. And this favors the side of Dignitas just a little bit, as they'll be able to get to a safe mid game. We won't have a snowballed Shen or a snowballed Varus who can just blow up your entire team throughout the mid game. And if this goes late, I definitely have to favor Dignitas, just due to the fact Twitch will do far more damage than Varus, and they have the ability to just kill Varus right off the bat with no mercy with Zed. So it is going to be on the side of Quantic Gaming to really make something happen. Quantic Gaming just continuing to play passive though. Nocturne tried to come up top, but he didn't find anything as he's just going to continue to farm. All the lanes virtually even, within 2 to 3 CS of each other. Volibear and Nocturne are going to spot themselves out in the mid lane as Gragas continues to trade with Shen. Shen getting the better of that just slightly as he has a few more potions and is up 1 or 2 CS, but no big difference. Twitch has managed to hit level 4 without any real pressure, so he's going to be perfectly fine as he has all his skills. He's one of those AD carries that really needs to hit level 3, get all his skills up, and if you're going to be doing some good damage to Zed in the mid lane, Zed is now out of potions with the exception of his red pot, and he's going to be forced back, and this is going to be the first discrepancy. As it looks like Twitch is going to go back as well, picking up potions and a pickaxe, which means that's going to be an early Infinity Edge for Twitch. And he's going to be able to do a whole lot of damage in this lane. I wonder if Quantic's going to actually recall and realize that, hey, Twitch and Sona aren't here. Maybe they're going back and picking something up. But it looks like they aren't. They're just going to continue to farm and play the waiting game. Nice move there by Nocturne to knock Anivia's recall out. As it's... Anivia has hit 6, and she's going to be able to apply some good pressure to Zed. Zed not able to get what he wanted. He wanted to pick up an additional Doran's Blade or some boots, along with that Vampiric Scepter on the first back. So he really has the opportunity to deal that extra bit of damage or move around and avoid Anivia's damage. Anivia has opted for that early Tear of the Goddess into a fairly mana-heavy build. She'll be going Rod of Ages shortly after. Varus with a nice lead on Twitch in terms of minions at this point. Just due to the fact he stayed in lane a little longer, he got that extra bit of CS, but though there's a big minion wave that might be lost to the tower if they get a good hook off, but no, Thresh is just a little off on those hooks. Sona looks to be going for that early Sight Stone, compared to the Philosopher's Stone, which will likely come up on Thresh. This Philosopher's Stone incredibly powerful on Thresh because it gives him that extra mana and health to actually trade with someone like Sona, who has her own heal and is able to trade probably the best in the game, with the exception of possibly Lulu. And so far, it has been incredibly passive by both sides. Though throughout the passivity, Quantic has taken a small, very small lead. And that's not very significant at this point, as it is about 500 gold. Just due to the fact that minions are pushing, and they've gotten a little extra farm on a few champions. At the moment, Gragas is out of mana, and he's going to be forced back. Shen not having to worry about mana, as they both have their red potions still, and Shen uses energy. Varus has decided to go back and pick up that early BF sword. I like the decision. Whenever you can get a big item like that, you want to go back and pick it up. Kind of surprised Twitch didn't wait for it, but he's going to take a lot of damage here from Varus. Hook off the mark. Varus does get the nice shield, as he does use it to dodge. Good play there by Varus, just making sure he's safe, using the lanterns. Big advantage. Looks like we are going to have the first big play in the game, as Volibear is able to steal the blue buff away with no threat, as there is a perfect flash frost by Anivia, stopping Dignitas B squad perfectly. As we go back to a bit of a passive game, it's been relatively uneventful, but we're going to see something big soon. Dragon's going to be a major objective that teams are now ready to take. Blue buff should be up very soon for both squads, and that'll be an objective that they could choose to contest. Though I'm not sure how much they really want to contest the objectives after stealing that red buff, as that was very close and could have turned into an engagement if they were just a step or two faster on the Dignitas B squad. Nocturne does have his ultimate and is looking to come down bottom. I expect to see an engagement at any point here. Looks like Volibear is going to be able to go do his own red buff, then be right in the bottom lane for Nocturne when he does gank. He has to suspect that's the lane he's going to gank, as we do see the darkness come out. Box thrown by Thresh, and he's perfectly safe, as Nocturne just does not have the movement speed. Thresh does get knocked in there, but Shen ultimate coming in. Will Thresh go down? He does go down. Shen doesn't actually come. If Shen came, he would have been able to easily turn that fight around, but instead, first blood on the board in favor of Dignitas' B squad. Volibear down here trying to protect the tower, but kill went to Nocturne, and that is a huge advantage. even though they are still down in gold, surprisingly. Looks like we are going to have Anivia just continuing to pile on some damage to Zed, as both sides are duking it out in this bottom lane. Volibear does get a nice fling, but he's not able to follow up as Nocturne just takes the tower hits. And the tower wasn't on Sona, who's very squishy at this point in time. Looks like we are going to have Shen just continuing to pile on some pressure to this Gragas. He's going to have to go back. He's down really hard in terms of minions. I'm surprised he stayed in that lane. He's down 30 at this point. It's really big, considering how far ahead Shen is. And Shen is the lead farmer in the game, sitting at 96 minions. Varus right behind him at 91. Twitch getting behind a bit on Varus. And the mid lane is about even. Same thing with the junglers. Nocturne is going to be able to place the pink ward near Dragon. And with that, we're going to see Dragon being done very soon. Both sides wanting to pick up that objective and get the first real objective on the board. First blood was taken by the side of the Dignitas B squad. And it looks like Nocturne's going to continue to come down in this bottom lane. If he can get another kill off on Thresh without taking too much damage, they will be able to push for Dragon, push that bottom tower, and really start a snowball, which will be very hard to stop. Gragas decided to go for a Rod of Ages build as he's picked up that Catalyst in addition to the Duran's Ring. Shen has picked up that early Sunfire Cape. Volibear going for the Spirit, likely just holding that at the Spirit Stone. Anivia has picked up her Catalyst, soon to be Rod of Ages. Varus going for the Infinity Edge to match Twitch's own Infinity Edge, which will soon be up. Thresh going for that Duran's Shield in addition to the Phosphor. Zed doing some major damage on Anivia, but she will go down here. The egg is popped, taking a lot of damage. I don't think there's any saving her. Volibear is going to try and come up here for a counter kill, but not there in time. Volibear is still fighting it, but I don't think they really want to engage here. Excellent move there by Zed and Nocturne, and that's just Nocturne's power, able to rotate her in, deal some big damage, and it looks like Thresh with a hook there, just harassing a bit. That lantern will give him some good vision of the dragon in case they want to try and steal it, but I don't think they're going to have an opportunity to do so, as Nocturne does have a smite available and will be able to just smite it down when it gets low. Big win there by Dignitas B squad, as they have pushed into a slight lead where they were down just a few moments ago. The only problem they're going to run into is this Shen is getting big, and this Shen is going to be virtually unstoppable come late game, as he's already picked up a Sunfire Cape. He's farming infinitely better than Gragas. And it looks like there's a small engagement down bottom as Twitch just throws out a few harassment shots, but it's not a whole lot, as we do see Thresh with a nice pull in, jumps over the wall, gets the knockback, throws down the box, crescendo over Varus, and that will end the engagement. But Sona in a lot of trouble as she is going to go down here, picking up the first kill for Quantic, but no, Shen is able to actually save Thresh, taken very low by Twitch. Lantern is thrown out, and Varus in a lot of trouble. Sona does not go down, but they do actually get a kill onto Twitch in exchange for the kill on Varus, and it looks like Thresh going to go down here to Nocturne. Dignitas B squad doing an excellent job of actually fighting and winning these engagements. Gragas in a lot of trouble. Thomas Volibear gets the fling. Shen with a taunt. Gragas in a lot of trouble. Shen does flash forward, and it looks like we are going to have Gragas going down. Shen going to be perfectly safe thanks to the extra armor, the Sunfire Cape. And with that, it's about to a 500 gold lead, but this time in favor of Dignitas' B squad. Anivia in a bit of trouble as Zed does throw her ultimate down, but she flashes away. Not going to take too much damage from that. And when Zed's ultimate comes up again, Anivia will likely have her passing. First tower of the game has been taken by Team Quantic, as it looks like we are going to have a counter tower down bottom by the Dignitas B squad. And it looks like Nocturne in a bit of trouble, but he will just pop that spell shield and run away. No reason to continue that engagement, as they really just needed that tower gold. 600 or so gold lead in favor of Dignitas B squad, as both teams continue to farm it out. As it looks like Thresh might be in a bit of trouble. But no, he's going to try and start some of his own. Twitch and Sona were trying to rotate around the river, but no such luck actually finding an engagement. Nocturne has picked up the Runic Bulwark, which means his team's going to be super tanky for this mid-game. Gragas about to finish off that Rod of Ages. Shen likely going to be going for the Aegis of the Legion as well. Zed has picked up the Blade of the Rune King. As Thresh going for a bit more of an ability power focused build, not picking up that Sight Stone, instead going for the Kage's lucky pick. And that might be a sign that Dignitas wants, that Quantic Gaming wants to go late. As it looks like Volibear will have the Lock of the Iron Solari very soon. And if this goes late, I'm not sure Quantic's going to be able to really win, as there's just so much more damage coming out of the side of Dignitas B. Down bottom, Nocturne does have his ultimate up, and he's going to look to come down here for a gank. They should expect this from the side of Quantic, as that's where he's been the entire game, on this bottom half of the map. And I think they realize Sona's here with a crescendo, and if she's playing that aggressively, it really gives away the fact Nocturne's here. So Quantic is going to be playing very far back. Gragas up top getting really bullied around by the Shen, down 30 minions at this point. As Shen is tied for the second highest farm in the game with Varus, as Zed has overtaken them both, sitting at 142 minions. Score is 2-4, with 1,000 gold lead now by the side of Dignitas B. Dignitas B is on the red side, while Quantic Gaming is on the blue. Anivia finishing off her Rod of Ages, as it looks like we're going to have a gank down bottom at some point. Nocturne just sitting here waiting to use ultimate. Crescendo comes across for some beautiful damage. Varus able to flash, but he's taking way too much damage. Box not able to save him. Thresh does get a nice hook on there on Sona, but Sona will be perfectly safe. Looks like Volibear is going to come down here as well, but there's nothing they can do. And this Varus has been picked on all game long. He's died more than he should have, but he is still ahead in minions, so he's not in a terrible position. They've just been able to dive him at all points of the game, and it's been a real terror for Varus, and he's not going to be able to pick up that Infinity Edge anytime soon, as Twitch has just finished his off. The Varus has actually opted for the Vampiric Scepter and Boots, while Twitch is just going that pure Infinity Edge until the Berserker's Greaves come out, which is what that kill gave him. Shen can do some counter jungling of his own in the top lane, just waiting for the minions to get low, then finishing him off with the burst damage so Gragas doesn't actually steal him and make a small comeback. As he's still very low in terms of farm, Shen going to be just continuing up top. Zed was going to try and rotate, but he wasn't anywhere close to Shen, as Shen was just playing very defensively at this point. Looks like we are going to have Dignitas with a group up and engage in the mid lane, and Anivia in a lot of trouble as Twitch comes in there stealth but does not actually choose to fight. They would have had a good opportunity. Anivia's flash still down for a few seconds. Twitch has the red buff and would have been able to easily take down Anivia, but instead they're going to back up, play it safe, because they might have been back up for her. Looks like Volibear is going to run through the mid lane, but he is spotted out by a ward, and we're going to have a push on the mid lane by the Quantic Gaming side of things. And with this, they're going to be in a good spot. Gold slightly in favor of Quantic right now, up about 300 to 400. Anyone's game, as both sides just continue to farm and play fairly passively. Dragon has respawned, Quantic is on top of it, but we're going to see a 4-man push, soon to be 5-man as Gragas rotates down by Dignitas. Thresh doing his best effort to pull people in. Twitch does do the cleanse as he gets knocked in, but there is no engagement as Volibear is just going to be running away. Shen ultimate has been used. Varus in a lot of trouble and will go down here as the Gragas throws the big cast for some massive damage. Twitch is able to get some massive damage off, but with all in all, Dragon did go in favor of Quantic, and with that they win the engagement just slightly, taking about 1,000 gold lead here, as Dignitas just not able to get those extra kills. Everyone was low, but with that, Anivia is going to be able to secure this mid lane. Shen at high health as well, and they really can't kill Shen at this point. Not without committing a lot of ultimates to it, and all their ultimates are down at this point. Nocturne ultimate will be up in just a second. But Ball's doing an excellent job on Shen, just securing these objectives for his team and minimizing the damage that was done. 4-man push here by the side of Dignitas B. Shen is able to stop it though. There is a bit of damage going on to the tower, but it's not that much. Tower's still at half health, and there's not going to be an engagement. So overall, a pretty big win. And with this minion wave pushing very heavily in the bottom lane, Varus is going to pick up a lot of farm and be able to pick up his next item fairly soon. He's down fairly hard in terms of deaths, but it looks like Thresh is going to pull Sona in, but his Nocturne does throw the ultimate out. Fox does come up. Thresh in a lot of trouble. He's going to go down. Excellent decision there by Nocturne to just kind of sit back. Sona did an excellent job baiting Thresh in as he got just a little greedy. 5-man gank in the middle. Anivia does get knocked back. Wrong direction there by the cast of Gragas. And we're going to see a disengage here. But no, Thresh is going to come in, or excuse me, Anivia is going to be taken very low. Gragas in a lot of trouble. Volibear going to be taken out. Twitch just doing too much damage. Anivia going to be taken out as her egg form is there. Shen comes in the back line, able to pick up Gragas, able to pick up Zed, and will he continue on a rampage as Varus is not touched yet. Nocturne flashes away. Varus in a lot of trouble. He takes a lot of damage. He does have blue buff, but Twitch is able to finish him with that poison. Or maybe not, as the poison does not actually finish him. Varus life-stealing just enough. Shen saving the day for his team, turning that around when what was a terrible engagement into a halfway decent one. And Sona's going to go down here as well as soon as Shen gets his taunt up, but no, he is able to back up. And Shen just able to turn that engagement around. That was looking absolutely horrible for the side of Quantic, but they were able to recover just in time. And overall, make it a 4 for 4 across the map. And with that, we're going to see Varus continue to push this bottom lane out. And I think we're going to see a tower likely in the bottom lane be a lot of pressure coming towards that. Towers are 2-2 as Dignitas B squad is just looking to make an engagement happen at this point. I suspect they'll rotate at least 1 or 2 people around the top lane and take that tower out. Only Volibear is up there. Shen does have his ultimate though, so they could turn around an engagement. But neither team are wanting to fight. They're going to group up in the mid lane, kind of have a standoff, and I don't think either team has the means to engage at this point. Sona needs her flash crescendo. Gragas needs the flash and barrel toss. Pink wards placed aplenty here by the side of Dignitas. They have an Oracle's Elixir up on Sona as well, so they'll be able to completely clear out this Baron pit. Thresh opting for a very defensive build so far, as Sona is opting for a bit more offense with those boots of mobility and the earlier Oracle's Elixir. But I don't blame her. Her team feels like they're in the lead. Dignitas feels like they're in the lead, even though they're down gold. They're up in kills, and they're even in towers. It's really come down to CS on Shen and Varus, as they're both up fairly significantly on their counterparts. Looks like we are going to have Shen in a lot of troubles. There's a 5-man gank up top, but Shen going to do what he does best. Just continue to run around, make a play, and the rest of his team's going to go push a middle turret. Shen's going to use his ultimate as soon as he gets in a bad spot. Gragas throws the cask, and Anivia is in a lot of trouble. But they will be able to disengage. Thresh with a pull in on Zed. Zed is going to go down before the fight begins. And the Nocturne ultimate, they're just going to have to use it to disengage. Shen ultimate thrown up on Varus as Twitch continues to do a lot of damage. But overall, 1-for-none exchange as Zed got absolutely slaughtered. Looks like we are going to have the rest of Quantic just group up and continually push. I don't see any reason for them to stop. One of the major damage dealers is down for Dignitas. Anivia in a bit of trouble, but she can just back up, throw the Flash Frost, and you kind of be a support at this point until she gets some of her health back. And with that, another tower's taken down, giving a small lead over to Quantic. They've actually extended it fairly well to 3,000 gold, but that's still not a whole lot 24 minutes into the game. They would have been much better with that lead earlier. But so far, they've done an excellent job of apply pressure around the map and use Shen to his fullest, as that's the one thing Quantic has done well. And I expect in game number 2, we're going to see a ban on Shen, just due to the fact he's been such a nuisance this game that they don't want to deal with him again. He's shut down Gragas fairly hard. He's saved his team countless times and turned around engagements that they should not have had a prayer in. Excellent play so far. The problem is, Dignitas has a better late game. Looks like Nocturne in a bit of trouble as Thresh throws out the hook, no land. Dragon has respawned, and that looks to be our next engagement. Anivia fairly low on health, but she should be okay. As she's getting fairly tanky, she's picked up some armor with that Seeker's Arm Guard. Looks like we are just going to have them continue to farm this mid lane. They're going to want a position for Dragon. Oracle's picked up by Thresh, so he's going to be able to easily kill off all those wards. And no one is leaving this bottom side of the map, with the exception of Anivia. But Anivia wants blue buff. And I think this is the opportunity for Dignitas to pick up Dragon. As without Anivia, they don't have a good fight. Thresh is going to be able to pull in Sona, but without actually getting in there with his entire team, Dignitas takes Dragon, no contention. And that brings the gold lead back to about 2,000. A little more so than that. As we do see Twitch picking up the Zeal. Phantom Dancer finished up onto Varus. Blade of the Rune King and Brutalizer up on Zed. Looking to really burn down Varus in these fights. As Varus is in a bit of trouble as Nocturne does pop the ultimate. Box popped. But there's a crescendo just out of range. Only hitting Thresh. Thresh is hit by Gragas. As Thresh will be taken very low. But he's still able to pull Gragas in for a bit of extra damage. Volibear doing a lot of damage to the side as Nocturne's been taken very low by Anivia. Beautiful wall there. Cuts Sona off. 1 for 3 exchange in favor of Quantic as they take a beautiful fight off the back of yet again a large engage by Dignitas. They engaged very deep, but Varus had his summoners up, and those summoners saved him for long enough to turn around the engagement. And it looks like Baron's going to be attempted here on the side of Quantic. Gragas is still here. He does not have his ultimate. And it looks like Anivia's doing the smart thing and going to be going off and saying, hey, back up, Gragas. You got no chance here. And with this, Quantic's going to be in a very good position. That Baron buff allows them to siege for as long as they want. Anivia has blue as well. They could just sit under a turret, kill the minion waves, and get 1 or 2 shots off every time, and just slow push any tower. They could easily rotate down bottom, grab those 2 towers with this Baron buff. That'd probably be the best decision they could make at this point. As they're fairly vulnerable, I don't think we're going to see an engagement down there, as they're not too valuable to Dignitas at this point. Twitch doing the smart thing and just going to push the top lane out. Likely get another tower, as all that tower gold is really worth it at this point. Teams need every little bit they can get, as 1 or 2 items could easily change around this fight, even if they're just components to bigger items. Looks like we are going to have Azani's Hourglass soon to be finished up onto Anivia, as Twitch has finished off his Phantom Dancer. Last Whisper soon to be up onto Varus. Not sure exactly what Thresh is going to want to build, as he's picked up all the support items he could possibly want. Sona likely building into that Shroya's Reverie, as we see the Locket and Aegis up onto Nocturne. Zed picking up a Last Whisper very soon, as Shen just going to split push down bottom, take tower aggro, and not even worry about it, as he takes 0 damage from the towers at this point. Nocturne going to get a fear off, but he's going to lose that engagement, as Shen has a bit more sustain than him at this point, just due to the extra healing from Vorpal Blades, and the fact Nocturne's passive is on a fairly long cooldown. And it looks like Quantic's going to do the smart thing. Push up the mid lane, rotate down bottom, take those 2 turrets. Let Shen do what he does best. Split push, and then come into these fights. He doesn't have his ultimate up, so it's going to be hard for him to split push for too long. But I don't think there's going to be a good way for him to get Shadow. He's in a lot of trouble, and he's forced to shadow away. Anivia with great burst there, catching Zed off guard with that Flash Frost across the wall. And with this, Shen's going to be able to take another tower down bottom with no real chance of an engagement. Though it looks like we are going to see Dignitas rotate down there, I don't think they're going to be able to stop him at this point. As with Baron buff, he has enough damage to be a real threat. And the Sunfire Cape means good luck trying to kill him. He's got ridiculous amounts of health, almost 4,000 at this point. And this is where Quantic wants to be. They're going to have a great mid game. They're taking small advantage over the map. And what 5 minutes ago was a 2,000 gold lead for Quantic is now 7,500 gold, just off the back of that Baron, a 1 bad team fight by Dignitas, and a few towers that they took off the Baron buff. Looks like Dignitas is going to be in a bit of a bind here. They're going to lose all their outer towers. Shen going to rotate up top with a large minion wave, and there's no stopping him now. His ultimate is back up in case Dignitas wants to engage. But like I said a moment ago, they're just going to continue to push this mid lane with Anivia. Let the minions and Varus, if he wants to, attack the tower. And if they get in trouble, they have the Thresh Lantern to escape. Looks like Nocturne's going to try and come up here and contest Shen, but he doesn't have the damage. Shen already level 18, highest in the game by pretty far. And this is Quantic's game to lose at this point. As they get a nice wall by Anivia, Thresh going to come in there, and it looks like Volibear is actually going to be able to finish off Twitch, and this is a chance for a push. I thought Thresh would get in there with the hook, but they didn't need it, as Volibear was able to catch Twitch out just slightly. And with that, we're going to see the first inhibitor of the game taken by Quantic. Excellent wall there by Anivia. Zone Twitch out into the perfect position, and with that one inhibitor down, it's going to be very hard for Dignitas to get something going. Sona taking a lot of damage and will be taken out by Varus using his ultimate. But with that, another turret's going to go down. They don't have a major CC component on the side of Dignitas. And with both Twitch and Sona down, 2 inhibitors are going to fall. And overall, this is looking like Quantic's game. They just need to back up and regroup. They took five towers and 2 inhibitors off of that. And they have a lot of global gold to spend. They're going to be able to steal blue buff for Anivia, as Anivia really needs that at this point. And I'm kind of curious to see what they go for next, and how much of a big item swing that last engagement was. As that's the one thing about League of Legends. You make one bad engagement, where you really lose it, especially in the mid-game, it could snowball to kill you. And that's what's happened to Dignitas at this point. Looks like another objective taken by the side of Quantic Gaming, as they have picked up a dragon, extended the lead to 12,000, and have 2 lanes of super minions piling in. Still, an outer tower remains on the side of Quantic Gaming. That top tower could go down at any point in time, but I don't think it's in any real danger, as I don't see Dignitas wanting to extend that far out. Looks like we have a Blade of the Rune King picked up here by Varus instead of going with the Last Whisper. He still wants it, but you saw he can pick up a full Blade of the Rune King. Might as well take it. Shen picking up a full Warmongs. Volibear picking up Spirit of the Ancient Golem and finishing off that Randuin's Omen. He's going to be almost impossible to kill at this point, along with Shen. And this is Quantic's game to lose. Anivia finishing off that Seraph's Embrace, in addition to her Zani's Hourglass. Well, Twitch is about to finish up his Last Whisper. Same thing with Zed. Nocturne going for a Phage, likely into a Frozen Mallet for a bit of extra health. Gragas finishing off a Rod of Ages, picking up that Merlinomicon, and likely going to go into a Death Cap next. And this Shen just keeps on getting tankier as he's about to pick up a Randuin's Omen. Being very strong at this point, he is going to be an unstoppable force in these team fights, just due to the fact he's going to soak a lot of damage and be a real nuisance, as he does enough with his naturally good damages and the Sunfire Cape to apply pressure to Twitch. And if Twitch is hitting him, he's not hitting the squishy targets that deal damage. Looks like Last Whisper has actually been completed on Zed now, and this is their opportunity for Dignitas. They're going to have to win this fight, and win it convincingly, as Shen takes no damage from this tower. His shield basically stops it. You see Gragas with an ultimate, but Shen with a beautiful taunt, able to kill Sona before she ultimates. Box is used to take out Gragas, as Volibear finishes him off. Zed coming in the back line, but this is a good game fight in favor of Quantic Gaming, as everyone will fall. Twitch still very low, and Twitch will die. Only Varus falls, and with just Varus down, and only Nocturne alive for Dignitas B squad, it is going to be the first game of the IPL Summer Promotion Qualifier in favor of Quantic. They really snowballed off that one fight in mid lane. That's what won them the game. It wasn't anything more than that. They won the fight, took a Baron, took towers, took another fight, and there was just nothing that Dignitas can do. they made a few small mistakes and they really got punished for it. We'll be back in a few moments with game number 2 of Quantic Gaming versus Team Dignitas B. Thank you for watching Games Cast by PanderNyrl. If you wish to see more, follow my YouTube and Twitch pages below.